It's been one of those days. I'm tired, I'm hungry, and I want to go home. We'll finish this up tomorrow. I think I've got enough sand out here. If I don't, I've got a little bit left over, so I'm ready to go eat. Hey there, it's Pete with GCI Turf. Hope you're having a great day today. And I'm back out here the next morning. Yesterday was a little bit rough, one of those long days, and I was just tired and whooped and ready to go home. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the like button, all that kind of stuff. Hit the notification bell, that way you'll know when I upload a new video. As you know, when you lay sod, you lay the joints of the sod together in an alternating pattern, kind of like a little puzzle. You're trying to lock it all into place. One of the things that can happen with sod is in those joints, it can pull apart, whether it be from the dirt drying up or it's just something that it does. I bet you're wondering, Pete, why didn't you use staples and staple all that together to hold those joints in place? Well, two reasons. One, I didn't have any staples. Number two, I plan on keeping this cut at a 1/2 inch all year long, and I'm going to be verticutting and raking it and all kind of things that will go down into the canopy of the turf and rake the top layer of soil, and I don't want my machine pulling those stakes out. So that's the two reasons I didn't use staples. And a third reason, if you need one, is I've seen sod laid with staples and it still pull apart. I don't particularly care for covering fescue with some type of a heavy material and running a drag all over it. It just doesn't work with fescue that way. If I were going to fix fescue, I would obviously come in and fill in the groove and then put a little bit of seed in it. And of course, you don't have to use sand. You could actually use compost or soil or something like that. But as far as bluegrass goes, I think rye would be safe. Obviously Bermuda, Zoysia would probably be safe. St. Augustine, I'm not very familiar with that turf type. So you can see right here's a joint. Now obviously the Bermuda has grown and filled in and covered that joint, but the gap is still there, okay? You can see the gap runs right down through here, this line. And because I'm reel mowing this causes a problem for me. It has a little slight bump, and so every time I go over this sod, I feel little bumps, and I'm scalping my turf in different areas. If you were doing this on a small scale, you could absolutely come in here and get bags from, you know, your hardware store or something like that and fill in each individual joint, and then take your rake, smooth it out, and it'll fill right back in and leave you a nice smooth, even area to mow. But in my case, I've got 7,000 square feet of Bermuda sod out here. So I have to do it in a little bit larger scale and level the entire area. Pete, I don't own a lawn care company. I don't have a leveling attachment to go behind the Ventrac. How should I do it? I'm gonna link up below the exact thing I would use if I didn't have this leveling attachment that I have. It's a plastic pallet. The reason I would go with plastic is because one, it'll last you forever. Number two, it's a rigid type of material. It won't bend. It'll stay nice and flat and it'll work the exact same way. You can hook a couple of ropes to it, drag it around with your lawnmower or your four-wheeler or whatever you might have, and it will work the exact same identical way. Might take a little bit longer, may not be quite as efficient, but I feel like it's something a homeowner could use and have exceptional success with it. So the way this project started off is I began to take the turf down by scalping it, and I'm not a fan of doing that scalp all in one day. So over the course of 2 or 3 weeks, I gradually took the turf down from 2 inches all the way down to 1/2 inch. Once I got the turf scalped down, I took my verticutter and went over the entire area one time. You know, I'm crazy anal about my edges. I'm just super peculiar about edging, and it has to be just right in order for me to sleep at night. So I'm planning on putting fresh pine needles down later this week, but I went ahead and done the pine needles along the edges simply so I wouldn't have to disturb that area once the leveling project is done. Once I did that, I took a few buckets of sand and came out and manually applied it around all the edging. That way when I'm using the bigger leveling tool, I don't risk getting too close and jacking up my pine needles that I just worked so hard on. I'll use a smaller rake and tactfully place the sand right along the edge, and then go back with a hand leveling tool and level that area out. Why sand only here? We watched you at your bluegrass and you use sand and compost mix. What's the difference? Why do you choose one over the other? That's a great question, and I have a very simple answer. The folks that supply me with my compost, they're about 2 to 3 weeks out from being able to deliver it, and it's time to get the work done now. I personally like to do this with Bermuda right as the Bermuda's beginning to green up. We've had a couple of 80-degree days. The rest of the week is going to be nice and warm. As you can see, the Bermuda is starting to wake up, so right now's the time I want to do it. So I don't have 2 or 3 weeks to wait. If the moon and the stars lined up just perfect and everything in the cosmos was in perfect harmony, I would use my 50/50 compost sand mix out here. This comes from the local concrete company, some masonry sand, so it doesn't have any rocks in it. It's really clean. That's what I had access to. That's why I'm using it. So as always, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch. I'll check you later.